everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about where the core gamers are and why YouTube could open up the Switch 2 to piracy. It's going to be a good one because we have Lex Luddy on the show. Lexi, how are you doing?
If you really want to engage your core gamer muscles, get a standing desk.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Or sit on one of those medicine ball things. Yeah, just do a naked Jake every day. That's the way to live. Lexi, how are you hanging in there? What are you doing? What are you playing these days?
I'm not doing I'm super fucking busy. I just put up my Saros review that went live literally earlier today on Gamer Guides. I had to redo an interview this afternoon because I lost the original interview that I did in person at an event. And I don't want to talk about it, but redoing the interview went grand. I'm reviewing another game right now that I'm playing at the moment, and I should be done soon. And then I'm reviewing another game that's coming out a bit after that. So yeah, like games are coming out. It's Summer Game Fest is fucking soon. Like it's busy, man. You have to organize a couch. You know that, right? Has anyone told you that?
What's a couch? Well, I don't know. I've never heard of such a thing. Yeah, I'm getting to work
like
on
a
it.
Sofa, but less cool.
Oh, okay. The thing the vice president does, right? Okay, I got it now. Yeah. I am in the throes of kind of not beginning that process. It's begun. I'm reaching out to people right now, and it's a lot of people could do one night, and the other night's a little bit busier, so it's going to be a little bit hectic getting that put together. But we'll figure it out. I'm going to rely on favors.
For the first time ever, start menu is technically sending someone. Someone is attending under the start menu banner, which is nice. So I might give you their contact info and they can meet up with some people. They're good folks.
What did you think of Saros?
I like Saros. I think Saros is really, really good in a lot of places. I was a bit disappointed by Saros.
Yeah,
and I think it's for different reasons to you, which is I really like Returnal, and I think that the story stuff that Returnal does is so fucking awesome.
It's much better,
especially that twist at what you think is the final boss in Returnal, and the reveal and the way that plays into the roguelike genre, and how that like defies expectations, and then how the game evolves from that point on. It's so interesting to think about and mull around Returnal in your brain. And Saros, they just can't really play the same tricks again, which is fine. They don't try to for the most part, but as a result, it is just kind of a less interesting story. And that paired with the fact that I think that the story of like the Yellow King and the eternal suffering and ecstasy and all of this different kind of stuff, it doesn't really match the gameplay in the same way that Returnal's. Like the gameplay is too easy for the story of like eternal suffering, because most bosses I beat in 1 or 2 attempts, like maximum 3 or 5.
Yes.
But like it wasn't. It's not a game. It's a game that I said in my review, like it's the fastest 30 hours over the course of a weekend have ever passed for me, where it is extremely moorish. It's very easy you always feel like you're getting progress. You always feel like you're getting further than you did the last time. And in some ways that kind of like makes the story less impactful.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like this character is going through that much of a ordeal.
Yeah, he's just kind of going out there and upgrading.
Yeah, and then it goes to a cutscene, and he's like, "I've been here for 1,000,000 years." I was like, "I've been here for a little while. This is fine. I'm breezing through it."
Exactly.
So yeah, like I think there will be a lot of people who will like this game way more than Returnal, especially because I think a lot of people will get to the cooler late game stuff than they did in Returnal. But also, as someone who really liked the difficulty and getting to that late game stuff in Returnal because it was so difficult, I was a little bit let down. And so yeah, I think like the performances are good. It runs really well even on base PS5, which is impressive considering how much they are doing with like Unreal Engine and the fact that it is an Unreal Engine running at like a locked 60. And I think that game is really, really good, but maybe not for me in a lot of ways. And it's probably unfair to compare it to one of my favorite games of this generation, but also they made one of my favorite games of this generation, and this is an iteration on that formula. So of course I'm going to.
Yep, exactly. I'm going to reset the server real quick because I think we might be having a little bit of a delay issue. I'm going to do that right now. Let's save. All right, we should be back there. Yeah, I think my like reading some of your stuff real quick this morning. I was everyone's going to come at this game with a lot of different ideas what they need from it, but I think there is something to people want. There's a lot of people who want this game to be more accessible and want it to be easier. And those are like two slightly different ideas. And I mean, but I think it does both. It does make it more accessible and makes it easier. There are ways to tune it to be harder if you want to, but it's hard to be like, I'm starting this game from scratch. I know better than the developer what the game should be like. That's always a hard thing to ask of the player. But I just don't think they complemented that with the other side of okay, because we made it more accessible, because we made it easier, here's the stuff we layered in to keep it more engaging, or here's what we could do now because we freed up the player's mind a little bit to worry about other stuff. It just doesn't have the other half of that deal. That's all. All right, we should get into things. We're Giant Bomb. We're independent games media. Go to giantbomb.com/join and become a premium member. Please. It helps people, or it helps support the show, helps us keep doing what we're doing over here. It helps ensure the future of independent games media. Gets you ad-free versions of the shows. It's going to get you a lot of our premium stuff, either exclusively or in some cases early, like the upcoming season of Endurance Run, where me and Mike played through Bully. That'll begin dropping next week. Everybody early for premium users. A week later, it'll follow for everybody. So just hang in there. If you can't scratch it right now, we get it. If that's the case, just tell a friend, or hang out here and chat, or hang out in the community, or repost our stuff, share our stuff. We love that, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who supports us one way or another. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Take-Two explains GTA 6 console-first strategy. Console is Rockstar's, quote, core consumer. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick has explained why there are no plans to release a PC version of Grand Theft Auto 6 on November 19th, alongside the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S versions. Speaking with Bloomberg in that interview he did with Jason Schreier, we've been kind of picking stories out of all week. At the Interactive Innovation Conference in Las Vegas last week, Zelnick was asked about the growing importance of the PC market for some of Take-Two's series. Zelnick explained that when he started at Take-Two in 2007, series like NBA 2K only sold around 5% of their total sales on PC, where nowadays, with regard to a big title, PC could be 45 to 50% of the sales. Zelnick was then asked why, if this is the case, the decision was made not to release Grand Theft Auto 6 on PC on day one. He replied that Rockstar's aim has always been to serve the core consumer with its titles before focusing on things like PC ports. Rockstar always starts on console because I think with regards to a release like that, you're judged by serving the core, he explained. Really serving the core consumer. If your core consumer isn't there, if they're not served first and best, you kind of don't hit your other consumers. Asked whether the game had a console exclusivity period as a result of any marketing deals with Sony, Zelnick said that wasn't the case, stressing no. I mean, historically, Rockstar's gone to console first. As Zelnick says, Rockstar has historically a history of releasing its games on console first, blah, blah, blah. There is a Sony marketing deal. He did touch on that, but it's not exclusive or something like that. This, is, the stuff you say because this is the way Rockstar's done things. But I do wonder if you feel like there's anything we could sort of glean from this conversation about their thinking about Grand Theft Auto 6. Because I do feel like the world's changed enough since 2013, and then or 2012, whenever Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, and then when Red Dead Redemption 2 came.
2013, 2014 for Grand Theft Auto 5 across generations.
Yes, and then the following year it hit PC. And then, or something along those lines, close to that. And then Red Dead Redemption 2 was console first, and then a year later on PC, I believe. So that's the way they've done things, but things have changed. So it's maybe it is time to launch this thing on console. When you see him still saying Rockstar wants to serve their core user first. Do you take anything extra away from that about what he's trying to say here?
So, Grubb, I'm going to tell you a small story. A little while ago, I was at a video game summit. Not the one I was at most recently. This was a different one. It was a more business-focused one. And I was walking around, and there was a guy in a hoodie. And a lot of this summit was like, it was the business of video games. And the guy had a bright orange hoodie, and on the back, in big, bold letters, it said, "Maximize your monetize."
Uh-huh. So a cool dude.
And this is the answer you give when you can't just say, well, we're going to get people to double dip this way. This is the very diplomatic answer of, well, we're serving a course, so really we're doing you a favor. We're providing you the favor of allowing you the choice to buy it twice. And then, convincing you that it's a real good use of money to buy the same game twice on 2 different platforms. Which, of course, Zelnick is media trained up to his gills. This is a question that he would have known was coming and would have prepared for, and this is the answer you give when you ask that question, but, is it the truth? Kinda. I'm sure you could portray it that way. I'm sure Rockstar are much happier to not be working on 3 SKUs of the game all at once, especially considering how PC can require a lot more adjustments to get it up and running on however many different systems and graphics card and suppliers and everything. But also, we're talking about Rockstar. They could hire the people to outsource. They could
certainly afford it.
PC port 10 times over, and it still would make buku bucks back on what they invested in it. This is just a very diplomatic answer for something that we all kind of intrinsically know the answer to. They are releasing this game in this way probably because they want to release it multiple times. We are going to get a next-gen version of this game at some point when the new consoles come out. And I'm sure they have already factored that in, and I'm sure if any developer is aware of the plans of the console makers out there,
has good insight into it,
it's Rockstar and Take-Two, because it is in the console makers' best interest to coordinate with them.
Have a next-gen version ready to go.
Yeah, on system selling software and hardware. So, it's a fine answer, but, it's what he was always going to say.
Yeah, I think it's these companies always reassess their strategic positions. They always reassess, hey, is this still a good idea? We did it before. We do it again. It's comfortable for us to do it again. We know it works in certain ways, like all of the ways you laid out. And then I think, if anything, there are even more reasons these days for them to do this. Because, one, obviously, we did get that story that I've referenced a couple times about spending on shark cards, which is the in-game currency, I guess. I've never bought a shark card, so I don't really know. But my understanding is it's the in-game currency for GTA Online. Compared to the console platforms, PC doesn't even rate. Xbox One makes more money from shark cards than PC does. That's Xbox One, not Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S, just Xbox One alone, let alone all the other consoles. So obviously, it's super important for them to get that stuff up and running on console first, if that's where the people are spending the money. But that goes a step further as well. We try to work backward from why don't the PC gamers spend as much money on shark cards, and I think it's 2 things primarily. One is the thing did launch on consoles first, so the people who are most horny to spend money on a GTA Online sort of thing, they hopped on the console, and that's their ecosystem now, and they've already bought in. They're not going to shift things over to PC when that thing launches. They already began their relationship with the game on a console. And then the other side of it is the PC is moddable and has the role-playing servers and all this other stuff. And I think, we know that Rockstar has acquired the role-playing community, basically. They basically just slurped that all up. Did the same thing with the UGC stuff. So, yes, thank you very much. So I think that, they are looking at this as an opportunity to be we can define what role-playing servers look like. We could define what UGC looks like. without having to worry about the PC community coming in with its like, we don't give a shit about what the publisher wants attitude. We bought the game, now it's ours, which I love. That's the way it should be. But the publisher's like, hey, we can put a flag in the ground and say, this is what it's going to be like on Grand Theft Auto 6 and Grand Theft Auto Online in the future. Get used to it on console. And once we get enough people into that ecosystem, it'll have critical mass, and we'll be able to kind of stand alongside whatever happens on the PC that might distract the kind of player that we're trying to capture money from. So I think they have all of these reasons to do it this way, right?
Yeah. The thing I'm curious about is if there will be a kind of open source fragmentation of that scene of people who are like, no, we want to continue to have our own servers.
They definitely will.
And be able to do our own weird shit on those servers.
It's going to be controversies, yes.
Yeah, rather than whatever Rockstar have planned for they'll probably have a role-playing type mode for online. But yeah, I'm super curious to see how they present that to console players, how they incentivize it in a more traditional game-like sense. Because you can kind of do it on PC by just being like, well, this guy's the moderator, and if you're a fucking asshole, he's going to ban you. Consoles, you don't really have active moderators in a server at all times. So I mean,
that's got to be part of like what they've solved here, right? By like embedding themselves in with the people who built all that stuff. Be like, just straight up pay them to moderate these things. It's got to be part of it, I would imagine.
And ultimately, we should all just realize that we got to go back to playing Just Cause 3 MMO servers and trying to make our PCs crash. Like
that's where God's light is. We got to return to it. Absolutely. I don't know where I'm at with GTA 6, Lexi.
I'm just like, there's been so many news stories, and there's going to be so many more, and they're so incremental at this point that I'm like almost defeated by it in a way that like
it's relentless.
I wasn't feeling this way about like the Microsoft ABK acquisition, because there was at least interesting stuff coming out of that. This, I'm like, ultimately, I know what the end result of this is, which is there's a new GTA. And I kind of already, like, I'm pretty sure I know how I'm going to feel about that game, which is, yeah, it's really impressive. Bit too cynical, still really impressive. And so I'm just like, I don't know. It's so hard to get hyped up for the news cycle of it. Like, if the game is great, sure, but the idea of being ravenous over the news of it when so much of it is just like, yeah, I guess it'll be whatever it will be.
Right.
And pretty much everyone in games media is like, yeah, we're not getting access to that. We're not getting review codes.
We were having that conversation on the Bombcast yesterday. Do we think there are any previews of this game before it comes out? Like,
there will not be previews. I bet they have a event at a compound of come here for a weekend and play it. And
the people that get invited are like Casey Neistat or whatever the fuck that guy's name is. Neistat.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Thank you.
And it will be a lot of like, here's Vanity Fair's review of GTA 6, and they're talking about how video games have come a long way since Pac-Man.
Yes, the front page of USA Today also says comes a long way since Pac-Man. It'll be a lot of we have come a long way since Pac-Man, everybody. Let's hit the other GTA story here. Another analyst, Matt Piscatello, skied about this, where he's like, he just wants this game to come out so that headlines could stop besmirching the good names of analysts, or the term analyst, because we keep getting it over and over again.
Matt knows what it feels like to be a journalist.
Yeah, analyst says X about Grand Theft Auto, and it's always everyone just goes, and groans. Well, here's the latest one. And this might be the most groan-worthy one yet. I guess I'd have to do a tier list. Rockstar should raise GTA 6's price for good of the entire industry, says Bank of America, everyone's favorite banking institution. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Rockstar should raise the price of Grand Theft Auto 6 to $80 for the benefit of the entire games industry, according to a Bank of America analyst. As blockbuster video games continue to become more expensive to make, security stock analyst Omar Dasuki, who is going to just get fried by gamers, argues that selling the much-anticipated GTA sequel for the now standard $70 price point could negatively impact other games looking to raise their own prices to become more sustainable. Lexi, the argument here is, if this game comes out at $70, no other game could really consider going to $80 after that. Not really. Not easily.
Except for Mario Kart 9.
Except for Mario Kart 9, yes, and all future Mario Karts. And then, but if it's $80, then it's like the door's open a little bit. Obviously, it'll still be hard for most games to be like, we're as big as Grand Theft Auto 6, but at the very least, it's like, we're not more expensive than Grand Theft Auto 6, which is a complete non-starter. I agree with that assessment, but I don't know if the industry needs that much good done to it. I think just make the games better, and then maybe we could start talking about prices. But right now, it just feels so stagnant from the kinds of games that would be of this scale that if you just want to keep pushing prices up just because, that's a bit silly. But I don't know. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, I think in some way he's kind of like taking a bullet for a lot of other analysts here who would give the exact same perspective to anyone that asked them this question. And I think you said it a little while ago, like, it is the Mario Kart thing of Nintendo charged $80 for Mario Kart, and Take-Two sure as shit are going to look over there and be like, well, if they got away with fucking that, like, how the fuck can we justify not? Like,
how do we look our investors in the face? How do we look the board of directors in the face and say this game's not worth as much as Mario Kart? Yeah.
Yeah, because that will be the first question if it's not $80. And that sucks. And this is how, you know, like, peer pressure inflation happens. But like,
oh, the cool kids are doing it, like Strauss.
Sorry, that sentence. But yeah, like, I don't know, this game will probably cost $80 for the base version, and they will have their deluxe edition for $100+, and they will have their physical Uber Deluxe edition for $150. Like, you need to remember that Take-Two are the same company that make those WWE games.
Yep.
So just think about how those have been monetized recently. And like, yes, I know some of that is WWE, but also I don't think Take-Two are like protesting too much about the idea of having a $150 edition where you can get like 5 dead wrestlers unlocked early.
Man, 5 dead wrestlers is just like cellar door. What an incredible phrase in the English language. I am wondering, I saw someone in the chat posit this. Did Mario Kart World get away with $80? Like, simple question. Did they get away with it?
Purely because of the pack-in. And that
they found a way to make it work.
It padded out sales numbers, but so did like packing in Wii Sports. That padded out its sales numbers. So, you know, it's like, you know, of course it's an unfair comparison, but they specifically gamed it to be an unfair comparison.
They know what they're doing.
So that they could then point to it later and be like, well, this game sold really well at that price point, so we have a reason to like go back to it. And yeah, you know, that's how these companies operate. They will find ways to make a higher number look lower for the consumer, and then find a way to make that standard for everyone going forward.
I wouldn't say it was like unscathed. I think that it was a little bit like bumpier for them than it would have been, obviously, if it was $70. So did they get away with it? I think they got on the other side through clever pricing, like structuring and the pack in, and people can say, "Hey, I didn't pay $80 for it." And it's like, okay, I mean, yeah, you didn't. But you know, you are. The thing you're doing there is arguing for why it was better that you gave Nintendo money still, which is what they're still trying to accomplish. That's what they're trying to get you to do at the end of the day. And the $80 figuring into that reasoning, still serving the goal of you handing over a boatload of money to Nintendo. So I think it worked at the end of the day, even if it wasn't like perfect. Like, obviously, coming out of that, everyone didn't start pricing their games at $80. Nintendo isn't pricing other games for the most part. Well, I mean, God, they're all over the place. Nintendo probably has a couple that are like that, but once you add in,
I mean, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are now soft reset to $80, and like that kind of goes back to what we were saying of they find ways to creatively make it seem like a pretty good deal. Of, well, it has to be $80 because it's the next gen upgrade, so we have to charge an extra $20 for it.
Yep, but it's so it's like Definer thankfully points out, I was trying to remember this. Outer Worlds tried to go $80 and then it backed off before release. And it's like, okay, so the industry did not all like the door closed behind Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World grabbed its hat barely, and then no one else was really able to get through, but it definitely showed that there is a pathway toward it, and we're still on that pathway. We get there eventually. It is just temporarily delayed. All right. Plenty of more headlines to get into, but we're going to take a break, everybody. When we come back, we'll talk about some Mortal Kombat. We'll talk about that Project Fantasy game IO was working on and more. If you want to skip out on these ad messages, you could do so. Go to giantbomb.com/join. Get the ad-free version. We will be right back. We are back for Game Mess Mornings. I'm Jeff Grubb. That's Lexi Luddy. Let's get on to this next story. NetherRealm is actively pursuing a new Mortal Kombat. This is from Nintendo Life. Ed Boon, Mortal Kombat co-creator, has revealed that developer NetherRealm Studios is, quote, actively pursuing a new Mortal Kombat game. Duh. Speaking with Collider, man, this is funny. Nintendo Life put a K in Collider instead of the C. Boone is asked whether he could provide any updates on what NetherRealm is currently working on. While he's understandably cagey, also with the K, he does confirm, also with the K, that a new entry in the long-running fighting series is in the cards. Here's what he had to say. I wish I could tease something. I think if I teased and gave it away, I'd probably get in trouble, but we're definitely pursuing a new Mortal Kombat game, and we're definitely doing more as well. So there's a lot of pots on the stove, not just with games, though, with other forms of media and whatnot. So we've got a lot of great announcements coming up. To me, that sounds like Injustice 3 is next. That's what that sounds like. And of course, they're going to make another Mortal Kombat game. What do you think, Lexi?
Yeah, it would be weirder if he was like, actually, we're done.
Yeah. That would be pretty weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish you would. I wish one of these types you just like,
honestly,
no.
It does seem like a thing that it does seem like a thing that Ed Boon might do just to fuck with people.
Yeah. 100%.
Like, no, actually, we're going into CRPGs now.
Yeah, we used up all the fighting ideas. Everyone's fought everyone. Everyone's had kids now. We're done.
We're going to make a text-based adventure next. And it will only release on the ZX Spectrum. So look out for that.
All right, that's promising.
But yeah, like this is him softly trying to pre-couch the hey, Injustice is probably next. Don't worry, we're still working on it. We love Mortal Kombat. Everyone loves Mortal. We're still working on it. We love it.
Yep.
Anyway, would you play this game that isn't Mortal Kombat?
I think that they've done there's been a long enough break since Injustice 2, obviously, to build up a lot of demand for that. So I think Injustice 3 is going to do very well. And then when that's done, yeah, people will be craving a return to Mortal Kombat. Man, I think Mortal Kombat 1's legacy among the diehard fans is definitely mixed at best. And so I think they'll be like, all right, let's get back to the basics, which Mortal Kombat 1 was supposed to be. Try again and see if they can't follow it up with something that's even better.
So I do have a question for you, which is, please. Under James Gunn, there is now going to be a rated or Clayface movie, like an 18s rated movie. Do you think that NetherRealm get to push out the boat and do fatalities in this game and actually go there with it? Or do you think that DC are still going to be like, nah?
I think that is, I think there's more of a chance than that than ever before. Yeah. I think that continues to be one of the ways that DC could be like, hey, here's how we stand apart. But I would imagine that WB, the corporation, still wants to make sure that children can buy their Superman video game. And yeah. I think
counterpoint, no children play fighting games anymore.
Yeah, right. But I think there are a couple of exceptions. One of them, Smash Brothers, because it's got that Mario in it. And I think superheroes. I mean, I said superheroes, and I'm like, are kids ever going to be playing Marvel Tokon? I don't know. I have no idea. But kids are probably not playing Marvel Tokon. But I still think Superman, Batman, those ones are just so universally popular that I think there's a chance the kids would want chicken on that. But I think you're right, still technically, and I think that's what NetherRealm would say. Yeah. WB just wouldn't buy it.
I bet they've had the meeting of let's go in there and pitch them again and be like, hey guys, can we please?
Yep, absolutely. Oh man, I'm glad to hear that. All the best Street Fighter 6 players are like 17. That's a relief. All right. You could watch YouTube on Switch too, but it isn't pretty. This is from Jim Norman at Nintendo Life. If you regularly used the YouTube app on Switch 1, you might have been annoyed that the Switch 2 has not received the same app it's supposed to. We're going to be a year out from release here very soon, like in a matter of days, right? It's still not on there, but as shared on the R Nintendo Switch 2 subreddit yesterday by user JamperL, there is a way for you to watch YouTube on your Switch 2 now, though it's inelegant and bad. Yeah, that's the way to put it. Basically, from the Super Animal Royale main menu, there's a news block in the top right corner, one segment of which houses a playback icon in the middle. Pressing this icon will open a separate browser. Scrolling down, that news page reveals a link to what the game news on to the game's news on YouTube, and pressing it will, you guessed it, open the site for your perusal. And then it's in like 360p, and it's really bad. Mostly, I'm bringing this up because we got a game with a browser in it, and that could open this whole thing up for piracy, injecting in code and stuff like that. That has happened over and over and over again in the piracy scene on multiple consoles, where there are select games that have these ways of getting to the internet one way or the other, or other exploits to open up cracking your system. And this could very easily be, I see, yes, Super Animal Royale is the game there, everybody. So maybe go buy it now. I don't know, before things change. Is there a physical version of that would be that they wouldn't be able to update? Because that's the one thing I wonder.
No.
Okay.
I know this game. This came out. Yeah, this came out during the pandemic, and I remember that. Like a top-down, battle royale game. But yeah, that's stupid. That's funny. That's really funny. I kind of, there's a fucked up part of me that's like, I should watch some YouTube videos on my Switch too.
Yeah, my kids love doing that on the Switch 1. They love that. I'm like, guys, we have a million ways to watch YouTube. But they just love it.
Turns out your phone's pretty good at it.
It turns out.
Not sure if anyone's ever talked about this before, watching things on your phone. Pretty okay these days. We
will see if Nintendo does anything about this. This is the kind of thing. There's a reason that there is no browser on the Switch 2, obviously. There's a reason that they are very careful about when you do click on links in their privacy policy or whatever. It takes you to a very locked down version of what is probably a browser, but no options in there, no way to navigate. This circumvents that and could cause problems for them soon. All right. IO Interactive's Project Fantasy is in a, quote, very healthy space. This is from Sam Sepiol at Insider Gaming. IO Interactive CEO has informed players that Project Fantasy is still in development and remains financed. Project Fantasy is a new IP in development at IO Interactive. It's an online fantasy RPG that features a world and a game built from the ground up to entertain players. Weird. To entertain players. What a good idea. And expand for many years to come. There were rumors that the game might have lost its finances, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Let's see here. In a new interview with the game business, IO Interactive CEO Hakana Brock briefly discussed Project Fantasy status. Brock first stated he won't reveal the partner and will not confirm or deny whether Xbox is involved in the project, which was what was the case a long time ago. I don't know if that's still the case. I think I might have been the first person to talk about this game, Lexi, or one of the first. And it was one of those Xbox external projects like Contraband or whatever. Many of those have fallen through, so my expectation would be that this is not the case anymore for this game. However, what he could confirm was that Project Fantasy is in a very healthy place. It's still financed, and it's amazing. So any players who are waiting for this project can rest easy. This game was back in the pandemic, we were talking about it. It was a long, long time ago. They obviously have prioritized James Bond and then actually keeping Hitman pretty active, surprisingly active after a time when it seemed like they
have talked a lot about being surprised by how much people were in demand for them to keep Hitman active. It seems like several times they've been like, oh, this is a swan song to Hitman. And then they've been like, okay, but maybe we'll start bringing back some more stuff and we'll do more events and things like that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's fantastic. So their hands are full, but this thing has never lost its touch within the studio. They're still making it, I guess. I still feel like it's got to be years and years away because I don't know if 007 First Light. I can never remember the name of that game. If that game does very well, I mean, why wouldn't they immediately follow up with getting to work on a sequel? I think they would. And that's going to keep that studio pretty busy for many more years to come. And then maybe it's time for another Hitman. Obviously, that is a company that is growing. And
it is time for Grubb. It's time for another hit, man.
And that would be Project Fantasy. I don't know. I don't know if this like an online RPG from them. I can imagine the only reason that they would be pursuing that is because they are passionate about it. They think they have something there, especially after all of these years and not producing anything that we can all see for ourselves. They must really think that they have a good idea. And if that's the case, I want to see it because I trust IOI. They make cool games. But what do you make of this story?
Honestly, I would kill for if it is literally just Hitman in a fantasy setting. And like you're disguising yourself as a court jester, and then by the end of it, you're setting it up so that the king walks in front of a dragon and the dragon eats him. And it's like, oh no!
Hitman Isekai actually would go very hard. Just
what if it is just Agent 47. Agent 47.
Yeah.
And he blends in with everyone still, despite being from a different realm.
Right. There's just always one of those guys around throughout all of history. He fits in perfectly. Yeah, I would love that.
That would explain patches in the Dark Souls games.
Yeah,
that all makes sense. It all makes sense.
We figured it out.
Breaking news here, Grubb.
Please.
There's a new Xbox Boosh animation that Xbox CEO Asha Sharma has tweeted out. Do you want to know what it looks like?
Sure.
It looks like an Xbox booting logo.
I was 50-50. We were going to say that or Goatsy, one or the other, because usually it ends up being... Yeah,
it's an Xbox logo, so, you know.
True. We will get to some Asha Sharma and Xbox stuff here before we're done, everybody. There's always movement over there, and I'm still not sure what to make of that one either. Capcom says 90% of Resident Evil Requiem players prefer third person, with first person more divisive. This is from my Nintendo
90%
news.
of players are weak.
Yeah, right. That's how I feel as well. That's my initial reaction if I'm being toxic, which we always are.
When the culling comes, they will not survive.
They will not survive. And I will shed no tears.
They will get motion sickness.
According to Nakadishi, figures dated 1 month after Requiem's release reveal that around 90% of players chose to play in third person for their first playthrough of Leon's action-oriented sections. Grace's horror-focused sections were more divided because it does default you. This is like so. You always got to take that into account. But with 60% sticking with the default first-person settings and 40% switching to third person. So the thing I always point out here is like they did studies on donating organs when you die and becoming an organ donor on your driver's license or whatever. And people they'll okay, we'll make it opt in or opt out. And when it was opt in, people would not opt in. And then they would say it's against my beliefs. They would have all these excuses. And then they shifted it to opt out, and people wouldn't opt out, and people's beliefs would change. They'd be like, of course I'm an organ donor. I see it right here on my driver's license, and here's why my beliefs match up with that. People just want to go the path of least resistance, and then they will shift their beliefs later. So if people are actually making a change in their player behavior, it's because it's something they truly, deeply, actually believe. And 40% swapping from first person to third person does indicate there are a lot of people who just hate first person. And just weak. Weak is the right word. Get over it. Come on, play a real video game. Embarrassing. I'm joking, everybody, but not really.
They should have to play Descent as punishment.
That's a good idea. You can't leave this room, and it's Descent in every corner. Yes,
that's the equivalent to smoking the entire pack. Is having to play one of those like 360-degree motion games. They should have to play it in VR too.
Yeah, and that's a good point from chat. Like first person's just scarier, so that could be one of the things
it makes
here.
Sense.
Yeah, where it's like, maybe I don't mind first person actually, but if it's scary, and I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. I'm definitely someone who's pretty scared playing video games a lot of the time. So anything you could do to sort of soften that, I get it. Although I had a great time playing that game in first person with Grace and then third person with Leon. What do you think this means for the future of this series? Because I hope they kind of just keep defaulting to here's an option. That worked really well, and I kind of can't see why they couldn't keep doing that.
I think Capcom is smart enough to do what serves the gameplay, and if they will continue to have the option, but I think they will have their defaults for what kind of story they want to tell, and they kind of made it pretty clear, like they set the defaults for those characters specifically those ways because they felt it matched the gameplay and the story of those segments better. And like honestly, they're right. If you play through that game twice and flip the settings each time, like the default way is the better way to play. And so like, yeah, I think Capcom's savvy enough not to allow stats. You know, you talked about it on the Bombcast yesterday, but like sometimes the thing with like feedback and statistics is figuring out like when it is just noise. Yep. And sometimes it is just noise, and you should stick to your guns and be like, no, this is what we are doing for this game because it serves the game better than it serves what people think they might want.
Yeah, and like I was trying to like glance at the sales real quick, be like, is there a signal in this noise? And it's like, not really. All the games sell well. I mean, Resident Evil 7 sold 16 million copies according to this very quick Google here that I think it's pulling from fandom actually, and it's like 7 or 16 million. That's huge. And Village did 14ish million, and then 2 did even, or Resident Evil 2 remake did even more. But that's Resident Evil 2 remake. So it's hard to like just go like look at that and be like, well, obviously if they do third person, it sells better. I think you're right. Capcom seems to have a confidence in their decision making, and they will do what's right for the gameplay. Disney CEO on why gaming could be the company's next big growth driver. This is from Annie McCoo at GameSpot. The Walt Disney Company released its latest earnings report today, and included in the announcement was an update on the games business. In particular, Disney said it sees gaming as an area of growth, saying gaming is an area of the business that doesn't deliver significant revenue yet, but is strategically important to the company overall as it looks to the future. CEO Josh D'Amaro said Disney's $1.5 billion investment into Epic Games and Fortnite speaks to Disney's eagerness to do more in gaming. Interactive platforms are an increasingly relevant medium for our younger audiences to engage with characters and stories, and our collaborations with Epic Games is central to our effort in this space. Our characters are among the most popular across the Fortnite universe. He also talked about the huge success that was The Simpsons inside of Fortnite, with 780 million hours played across 80 million unique players. And then they want to do more of that, obviously. Okay. My question to you, Lexi, is if gaming is going to be the next big growth driver for Walt Disney, is what they're doing with Fortnite enough? Or do they need to do quite a bit more?
So I think one thing that's worth bearing in mind is the reason this quote comes about is because they just put $1.5 billion into a gaming project. Yeah, yes. Like that. This isn't him being like, no, we genuinely believe. This is him saying like, we made a really good bet, you guys, and it's going to pay off.
Right, and that is in contrast though to what happened with OpenAI, where they had a $2 billion bet, and he did dip on that and was like, that was not a good bet, but that was the other guy. But this was the other guy as well. This one he's sticking with. But obviously, I think it would look really bad to pull back on all these bets. So he's sticking with this one. So he really has to stick with it. You're right.
Yeah. And I think that Disney gaming is such a weird thing because they go through their cycles of
yes, they do.
How they approach gaming. They had in-house gaming. They had, going all the way back to like inheriting LucasArts and things like that, and then they tried to do like the Epic Mickey stuff and all of this, and then they were like, okay, we're just gonna license things out, and that worked for a while, and they seemed happy with that, and they were getting David Cage to not make a Star Wars game. That was probably fucking awesome for them. They're getting licensing residuals for that for nothing. That's great. Never have to worry about that game coming out. And so, like, they go through their phases of what they think is going to be the golden bullet to really crack gaming for them, and it doesn't seem like anything fully has. And from what I gather, that Fortnite Simpsons event was really big, and some of the Star Wars and Avengers ones were also really big, or the Marvel ones were really big.
That's
but
right.
those new ones that just came out kind of came and went, and nobody gives a shit because it turns out people who log into Fortnite want to play Fortnite. They don't
Yeah.
want to play a cookie clicker mini game where you run a droid factory.
And if they do want to do that, they are almost universally playing the ones that are copycat clones of the biggest games in Roblox. Like, I don't know if Dress to Impress is in there, but the other one, Steal My fucking Brain Rot. Steal My Brain Rot is what it is. Massive in Roblox. It's the one that is pretty big in Fortnite as well.
Yeah, and so like it is this thing of kind of chasing a golden idol that doesn't actually exist. Of you're trying to be somewhere that the players just fundamentally are never going to go. And because in theory, if you do get there, it would be the greatest thing in the world. It would make you infinite money. It would be a money fountain. But like, people aren't going to change their habits just because you say like left is right. They're not going to start like believing that just because you say it.
And you have to believe it because that's where the money is coming from right now. It's coming from Disney, and they need you to make right be left and left be right. And it's so you kind of have to keep going that route if you're Epic. If you're Disney, though, I don't think Fortnite is enough. I think it's a good start. It's we should not ignore that it is still massively popular with a huge number of players, and I think that they can make something of it. I don't think anything they've done so far is really other than like the Simpsons deal, but that Simpsons deal just felt like a natural evolution of the deals they were making before the $1.5 billion investment. And then the things that have happened because of that investment, the Disney parks sort of experiences that were in the game, very disappointing. These I've not heard anyone talk about them. They look disappointing to me. But I've not played them, and I've not heard from anyone who has. But yeah, it looks in the vein of those Disney experiences, the Disney park experiences. So yeah, I just feel like, okay, if they do get there, if they figure it out with Fortnite, even in that best case scenario, that's still not enough. So what does the rest of Disney's gaming strategy look like?
Yeah, and that's where I'm curious, like, going forward, they've obviously made a bunch of genuinely really smart bets. Like, that Galactic Racer is a Moneyball game. It's not gonna, like, set the world on fire, but it is probably not the most expensive thing to produce and will generate a lot of goodwill. Same thing with, or probably not the cheap side, but, like, that Old Republic game that they're working on is a kind of game that will generate them a lot of goodwill and could pop off in a post-Baldur's Gate 3 world. And so they are still investing in more than just Fortnite. I'm going to be really curious to see if those Disney experiences that were kind of being rumored to going through testing, and the extraction shooter one that was being talked about as derivative, if those will be inside of Fortnite, or if these companies will realize that actually maybe putting these games inside other games isn't this like golden bullet you think it is, because ultimately if someone is logging on to Fortnite, they're logging on to Fortnite to play a battle royale game. They're not logging on to play a extraction shooter. And so why wouldn't you just make that a separate executable and make the distinction clear and not have one weigh down the other if it doesn't kick off? And so yeah, like I'm curious how they present those experiences as they come to fruition. I'm sure Epic wants them inside of Fortnite desperately, no matter what.
Yeah, but
and
I don't think that's best for Disney.
Yeah, I don't think it would be best for Disney, because I think that like actually having more distinguished products that aren't tied down to a previously built thing is better for them as a licenser.
Yep. All right, we should keep going. Handful more stories here. We're running out of time. MindsEye Studio reportedly lays off 170 employees following update parodying alleged attacks. This is from David Aubrey at VGC.
Man, but we name names.
Yeah, we name names. Build a Rocket Boy, the studio responsible for 2025's infamous MindsEye, has reportedly laid off more than 170 employees in the last week. This is the third time the studio has laid off staff in the past year. The report comes from Kotaku, which cites sources indicating that approximately 170 staff members have been let go, bringing the studio's developer count down to around 80. The reports are seemingly confirmed by LinkedIn posts from multiple members of the staff who are now looking for work. This felt inevitable. The game did not seem primed to make a quick turnaround, and I never really thought they had it in them to stick with the game long term, but they put out this mission that explains how they were attacked from the outside to sabotage the game and all this stuff. Did you play that entire mission?
Yeah, I played it. I beat that mission.
And you learned all the secrets.
Yeah, there's a few things to this. So like, one, there was still 250 people at that company.
Yeah, that's nuts. 250 felt like would have been the ceiling for a game like this, a couple years ago. Something got out of hand here. Yeah.
I can tell you what got out of hand. And that content release as a last gasp saving throw is such a fascinating thing of it was never going to work. It is a single 50-minute long mission that is ostensibly several subpar Hitman user-generated style missions strung together that you can't save and quit from without ending the mission and having to restart over. And also the game isn't, you've played the game, it's not a sandbox, but they put you into several sandbox kind of arenas and they're like, oh, go about stealthing this your way. You don't have the tools for that.
No.
And so it's just not very fun. And the only replayability to it is timed leaderboards. And so, like, my ultimate takeaway from that stream where I played through it, which I just posted on YouTube literally today. So if people haven't checked that out, they can check that out on my personal YouTube. My takeaway from that was, like, no consumer gives a shit about your personal vendetta with these YouTube managers, which are the two people named in this thing seem to work for like some influencer manager thing or whatever.
Oh man, okay.
And so like that's who they've taken aim at. And like no one who bought this game gives a shit about that personal beef. And no one who didn't buy the game is going to buy the game because you added a 50-minute long subpar mission dedicated to like shit talking. The way I put this on Blue Sky would be like if Cyberpunk came out and was a disaster, and then their big fix patch was a single mission where Johnny Silverhand sent you on a fetch quest and then told you about all the reviews he thought was unfair. And also the game sold like less than 10,000 copies to begin with. Like that's what we're dealing with here. It's bizarre that anyone on any level at this company would think that this would work as a way to entice people back in. And ultimately, I don't think it ever was going to be that. I think it was a final desperation fuck you to people that pissed them off.
And it was flashing out.
These people really seemingly don't care about their employees. Because if they did, they would put them to work on something that could actually keep the company afloat, keep it stable in some way. This product that they worked on was never going to do that. It was so much of what they've done post-launch was never going to keep the company alive and keep people employed. And like ultimately, this game is like, when you played it at launch, you were like, this is 90% avarice. And when you play it now, you're like, this is 100% avarice. And it's kind of like incredible. And I just feel so fucking bad and upset for all the people that got caught up in this whole thing. And there's so many talented developers in that region in Scotland, and they've put so many years of their lives into this game, and they've dedicated so much time only to have their like bosses shit talk their own ethic and their own commitment to the cause. Like, that's the kind of shit that if you did it on a sports team, you would get kicked the fuck out of a league and you'd never play with a team again. And you're only able to do it because you're rich enough that you can go set up the next thing and it doesn't affect you.
So you never even thought about the consequences in the first place. It never even occurred to them. Consequences for other people that were working for them, for any of this stuff. They believed in the sniff of their own farts. They're like, yeah, this shit smells good to me, so let's get out there and do my vision. And they're visionless, and it's obvious to everyone.
Anyway, they really
outside
judo chopped the saboteurs like they said they would. So good on them.
Good on them. All right, let's hit these last two together. Xbox has scrapped its Copilot AI companion on consoles, Asha Sharma says. I have a quick read on this, Lexi, and you tell me just what you think about it. Asha Sharma, coming from the core AI team or whatever it was at Xbox or at PlayStation, Microsoft. And she's brought in a lot of people from that team. And immediately everyone's like, okay, so the AI stuff is going to be doubled down. I still think it's going to be doubled down. I just think Asha Sharma does seem kind of savvy and knows that it cannot just be Copilot on Xbox. That is the laziest implementation that you could possibly do. And it's so transparent to anybody with half a brain. And as we always say on the show, Asha Sharma might be savvy. Gamers are absolutely savvy to this shit. They see through everything that isn't, hey, how can I save money and buy more video games? That's all I care about. Deliver that stuff to me and make sure that those video games are doing something new. I think that she'll be like, let's take our AI efforts and integrate them more naturally into the games themselves and make them features in the game. Now, I still think that is probably not going to work and will also be pretty transparent to see through, but I think it's a better idea than just Copilot on Xbox. What do you think?
Yeah, Chris Plant made a great point on Blue Sky that OpenAI discontinued Sora because they wanted to focus resources and compute elsewhere, not because they wanted to move away from AI and video. And this is the same. That is like, why would we invest all of our AI bucks into something that people already hate?
Yeah.
Which is Copilot functionality shoehorned into things that they don't want Copilot functionality shoehorned into. They would much rather just use whatever money or funding or R&D they have to like find ways to slip this in naturally doing a lot of legwork there.
Right, exactly.
Into like the user experience of like, oh, it's just integrated. It's not like a separate thing. It's just part of the experience.
Right, it's creating new gameplay experiences, and then really, it's doing some other bullshit as well. But yeah, they'll find the flowery language to sort of make this a better pitch. We'll see. I think they see areas at Microsoft. I talked about like Excel. They see areas where it's just consuming it's naturally a burning fire that is spreading like crazy, and the old ways of doing things will be entirely replaced by the AI way of doing things by the end of this year. And they're like, so why are we trying to force it into places where that's not naturally happening? And I think they'll try to replicate the sort of natural excitement for AI that they see in some of these places in all of their other in all the other buckets. Like that won't stop. That effort's not going to stop. That is still what Microsoft is. So they're just going to find cuter and cuter ways to present this to the gaming side, because I think that's still the underlying marching order for everyone that works at Microsoft. And it might find fun and novel ways to really suck and be bad. And then Xbox Game Pass in May, pretty good. Forza Horizon 6, Mixtape, the Subnautica 2 early access launch, which is kind of like a huge get. They're going to have Final Fantasy V launched today into Game Pass. Age of Empires 4 is coming with the new DLC. The next Descenders game, Wheel World, a lot of stuff happening on Game Pass. Combining that with the price drop, what's Game Pass's position in your opinion?
Not gonna sub to it. Don't.
$24 a month still.
Still fucking expensive. Still a like boycotted company. I'm fine. Nah, dog. I don't need to give you money for games that I'd rather own anyway. It's fine. It's totally fine. Like, thank you. I'm glad you're trying to like at least do something in this space again and not just kind of like stinking up the vibe. But like, also, I just don't care right now. I really don't care.
All right, that does it for the headlines, everybody. Let's get to the poll question from earlier this week. I got the results right over here. I'm going to make sure I refresh, get them up to date. All right, from Monday, which of these have you played in the last month? Arc Raiders, Marathon, both, or neither? Let's see here. I've actually played neither, and so have 82% of people. 82% of people have not played either of those games. 2% have played both. So it really is a one or the other. Marathon has 12% and Arc Raiders has 5%. So Marathon does seem to have the momentum right now. Obviously, it's newer, but neither are like taking over the world on a chart like this. But we do see on the Bomb 12 Marathon near the top for the last several weeks. So the people who are into it are very into it. Are you playing either of these games? I know you're busy reviewing stuff all the time.
Marathon's the thing I constantly want to be going back to at the moment. It's the thing that I keep on trying to organize, playing with friends and stuff like that. I really dig that game. That game is so fucking mean and so harsh, but in a way that works really well. And so, yeah, I want to get back to it. I want to get back to Marathon.
All right, we have a new poll question we'll get to here in a second, and I'll write that out for you, Jan, here in a moment. But before we do that, Lexi, tell people where they can find you, what you have going on, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky at lexluddy.xyz. You can also check out my review of Saros up now on Gamer Guides. I'm working on 2 other reviews for them right now. You can check out the website that I run, startmenu.co.uk, which is for people trying to break into games media and figure out a way to make this shit work in the modern day. You can support us so that we can do paid reviews and that we can compensate people for their time and for their work by supporting us over at patreon.com/startmenu. We have a weekly news roundup that goes up every week, and we rotate writers through that every month to give people the experience of writing news. And yeah, plenty of other cool stuff over on Start Menu, so check that out.
All right, let's see here. New poll question. Let's do a GTA price check with everybody. What do you think? $100, $90, $80, or $70? We'll get the results, talk about it on Game S Mornings here on Giant Bomb tomorrow. Speaking of Giant Bomb, let's see. We're going to do a Delight Club today. Dan is out on assignment, so I think we're going to do Time Gal. We're going to do some FMV games, so hang out for that. But things could always change last minute. Me and Mike will be in there playing that. And then the rest of the week should be a pretty normal schedule. Get in for Voicemail Dump Truck. We're going to have Marry Me Tomodachi tomorrow afternoon. We're going to have Unprofessional Friday on Fridays. Hang out with us for the rest of the week. We'll be back with this show tomorrow at the same time. With all that out of the way, Lexi, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Grubb Chat is demanding that you play the MindsEye DLC so that your sensei can be proud of you too.
All right.
I'm not going to elaborate on that, but you need to see that.
You guys got to convince Mike Minotti, and then we'll see. Good luck. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.